Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm Kalikaiz. Today we are doing the Magic Online decks of the week. We're taking a look at the metagame in the Pauper Leagues, seeing what is having success, what are the things that are making them have success, and what is the spiciest thing we can find in the Pauper Leagues. Before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, leave me comments, let me know what you think about this. If it is something you want to keep seeing, make sure to check out patreon.com/Kalikaiz if you want access to sideboard guides that I have for all the decks that I like to play that I'm good at. Then we have the early access to YouTube in the YouTube membership, which you can join in the join button below. All this stuff is in the description as well. So what happened in the Pauper Leagues? So for the week of the 19th to the 25th, we have a new surprise tier 1 deck, apparently, with elves at 12.5% of the trophies. That's incredible. It had a really big day, I believe. Okay, so we didn't even have any crazy big days. It was just very successful. Elves getting it done. Second place, Mono Blue Terror, then Mono Red Madness, then Spy combo with a big resurgence. That actually had a 7 trophy day. And then we have Demir Fey still up there at 9%, and then Rally Red. So if you look at the metagame numbers, it is extremely balanced. We don't have anything kind of out taking control of the metagame. Elves is pretty good versus Mono Blue Terror, and maybe versus Fey and Spy. I'm not sure about that. We also had a large number of one-ofs with 11 one-ofs and some spicy ones for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at things in no particular order. I'm going to try to save the spiciest stuff for last, but hopefully I get there. So one of the cool things that at the start of the week was a Demir Terror from Carves. We've seen Demir Terror with just Anglers and Terrors before, but Carves has been playing Sneaky Snacker. So you'll see that they have 4 Sneaky Snackers in the deck, and this obviously is a little bit better than their Mono Blue plus Sneaky Snacker version. This was the only Demir Terror to trophy this week. So this is a good version versus red decks because of the Unexpected Fangs. I guess Mono Blue Terror is also pretty good. And then maybe it's better in the mirror because of Snuff Out and Cast Down. I don't see Snuff Outs in the main deck actually, unless I'm not seeing it. So that's an interesting change. They have 2 Cast Downs, no Snuff Outs, and then they have 3 Ponder, 4 Brainstorm. Wow. One sort of spicy list, not totally new, but only a single trophy, Poison Storm from T. Miller, and then someone else actually managed to get 5th place in the Pauper Challenge with a very similar deck. This is the version that Bryant Cook has been playing with Thirsting Roots and Manamorphose. The Manamorphose version was kind of initiated by Cosmic Charles, who also has a YouTube channel. This is a version without Lotus Petal, but it can still go kind of fast because Thirsting Roots, it proliferates for a single green. So whenever you have Pentad Prism in play, it's a free spell, and potentially with more Pentad Prisms, it can be like a Dark Ritual, which is pretty sweet. It also can search up your off-color basics. Whoa, they're playing Metallic Rebuke in the sideboard. I don't get that. What are you Metallic Rebuking with? Pentad Prisms? Okay, that's very strange. It's cool because you could tap the Pentad Prisms for the Metallic Rebuke, but I've never seen that before. They have Fairy Macabre for the Spy matchup. Here I have a couple of mono white weenies. So Deodato managed to trophy with a Singleton Mana Tithe in the main deck. The Mana Tithe always gets the opponent, right? We have a 1 Mana Tithe, which does counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. And the best part about this is the Singleton Mana Tithe puts the Fear of God into your opponent. Also, this could be good against a High Tide opponent where they are like not sure when or if they can actually go off because of this. The other mono white weenie, no, this is mono white heroic. Okay. Let's go over and grab the mono white weenie. So this is a version playing black-white. Main deck entirely just white weenie. They do have Radiant Fountain in the main deck, which is an interesting choice. Orzhov Basilica to pick up and replay it. So they're not playing any of the land that gives your creatures counters. They're playing Sunlit Marsh to get with their Eagles of the North. They have Scoured Barrens, which is a life gain spell. And most of the black seems to be for a sideboard Harsh Sustenance, which can just like fireball your opponent if they're a fog deck. And they also have Nile Spellbomb in the main. So it gives them a little bit of extra value. This is the mono white heroic that's been doing well recently with the inclusion of Skyward Spider. I know that there's other versions of heroic that exist, but this version is looking to play big toughness creatures like Armadillo and Trailblazer, and then give them vigilance with things like Homestead Courage, and then Sentinel's Eyes, and then you can use Solid Footing. It's a single white for flash enchant creature. It gets +1/+1 and deals damage equal to its toughness as long as it has vigilance. So your Armored Armadillo goes from an 0/4 to a 4/4 basically, which is quite strong. And then you never have to use the ability of Armored Armadillo to give it +X/+0. A Skyward Spider being a ward creature as well gives us a little bit of extra value. I saw an Elves deck from Ganja to Ganja. They are playing Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary. It's a 3 and a green web slinging. When an ETB, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So it's a 4/3 that ramps you. I guess this is actually pretty good. I haven't seen why that's the case, but apparently it's good. So hopefully this player chimes in, or anybody that's had experience with Spider-Man in Elves, let me know in the comments and let everybody else know why this is so strong. It allows you to maybe pick up and replay your Mass Vandals. That could be pretty sick versus Affinity. I could definitely see that being pretty good. And then in the sideboard, pick up your value creatures, pick up your Avenging Hunter. Okay, I might be convinced. We have another Elves. This one's from Raketa or Minoro. And I just wanted to point out they're playing a blue-green plus white for Hollow. A Hollow can handle things like Breath Weapon and then gain you a ton of life. They have Distant Melody and two Distant Melody, 4 Winding Way in the main deck. And they like to play 4 Vines of Vastwood as like a counter spell / pump spell that can end the game. Here's a High Tide combo from Wolves 777. I thought this was interesting because they chose to put in a couple of 3 Augur of Bolas into the main deck. This is a creature that can block, obviously, but it also is something that you can use the hidden strings with. You can cipher onto the Augur Bolas and then use the hidden strings over and over. Plus you can use snap and replay your Augur Bolas, so it makes snap in the main deck a little bit more valuable. I've got a Mono Red Madness Burn from Gilberto Antunes. Now I covered a version like this in my channel yesterday, where we're playing more Kessig Flame Breathers and Thermo Alchemists and then Gutter Snipes. They've chosen to play 2 Stormshriek Ferals instead of the Sazicap Sprue that I was playing. And I think that that's a valuable play because it just gives you even more effective versions of your loot spells in your deck. Otherwise, it looks pretty solid. The sideboard, this player has chosen to play 6 Pyroblast effects, 3 End the Festivities, which is really only good versus the Rally Red in my experience, but I'm not sure if this is like something that I would play, and I have chosen not to recently. 3 Relica Progenitus, that could help a lot versus the Terror deck. And actually this version I found is a little bit weaker to Terror because they don't have a go wide plan. So this makes sense to have a Relica Progenitus here. Then I have a Turbo Fog. So Turbo Fog has not been showing up very much lately, but Paul 16 managed to trophy with a basically black-green Turbo Fog. Stream of Thought can kill your opponent eventually, or you can Crypt Rats them for lethal. And then it's just like, make sure your opponent doesn't do anything, and you're just going to draw cards and win the game eventually. We had a Dredge show up from Princess L the First. So this is sort of a Jund Dredge, kind of mixing a bunch of different versions, but they're not playing the Sneaky Snacker stuff. They have chosen to play Jund so that they can put Stormshriek Feral on the deck as a draw spell. That's also a creature. They have Rumble. Yeah, it looks like the Stormshriek Feral is the main reason to play Jund in the main deck. And then the sideboard, they have Fang Dragon for a sweeper. They have Ancient Grudge and Flaring Pain. Brave Revelation. Pretty standard stuff. This one is sort of a newer take on the Mono Black Packdoll deck. So this is Mono Black Artifacts with Packdoll Terror as a way to close the game. They also have, I guess, no other things. It looks very similar to a Gardens deck, basically, but they have Refurbished Familiar, Mirror Enforcer, Packdoll Terror, Karkline Shaman, and Crypt Rats to wipe the board, and then a bunch of removal spells. Next we have a Naya Gates. So FF7 managed to trophy. I think they trophied last week, but once again with Naya Gates playing Writhing Chrysalis in basically a green-white gate shell. Lightning bolts, breath weapons, pretty solid. And once again, I do love the interaction of Armadillo Cloak being a multicolored spell, put on a Guardian Guild pack, and then they just can't deal with it, especially mono red. Here's a Gruul Ram from Donnie Tokyo. So the cool thing I thought about this was, you know, they're going back to the Altasaur boarding party kind of cascade plan, but they are also playing Glimpse the Impossible, which I guess if you have a very large amount of mana in play, Glimpse the Impossible could be pretty intense. Plus, if you just jam it and it doesn't get anything, it gets you 3 spawns, which can at least ramp you a little bit. They've chosen to play only 6 Utopia Sprawl Wild Growth effects with a Bitter Reunion in the main deck. And then no dual lands. And they're playing a Sazakap's Brew in the sideboard to punk the Spy deck. That's cool. Now we have a Mono Blue Terror. So this one, Mono Blue Terror has been pretty stocked for a long time. I just wanted to point out how clean this deck is. This is Wolf 777 again. They are one of the most trophied players in the Pauper Leagues right now. They're playing 4 ofs all around the board. The only thing that's not a 4 of is 3 Sleep of the Dead, 1 Murmuring Mystic. That's just wild with 16 lands. The sideboard also very clean, 4 Null, 8 Blast effects, 3 Gut Shots. The thing I thought was interesting here is they have 4 Force Spike and 4 Counterspell. But then they have no bounce spells, just 3 Sleep of the Dead. So they're just going to go straight through your opponent. I find Sleep of the Dead actually is one of the best cards in the deck, so I think going up to 3 kind of does make sense. It differs from the versions that we've seen played by like Discover End, but Discover End mostly just continues to play their main deck and crush the challenges. Going up on the spiciness scale, let's see. Let's go to... This is the blue-white Cawgates that's not playing any number of Squadron Hawk. This is the Glinthawk Core Skyfisher version. I don't know if this is the same player that trophied with this previously, but this player has chosen to go down on the number of Carrot Cakes. So they have 6 artifacts to pick up with the Glinthawk Skyfisher. They can also pick up and put down the Unable to Scream with them if they want. And then they have Ponder here as a cantrip. I wonder if there's some other artifact that could cantrip and give them card selection that they could play instead of Ponder. Because it feels like the Glinthawk is kind of not a low value play here instead of the Cryogen Relic. Moving up, we have Rakdos Affinity. So this player has taken the Rally Red deck and turned it into an Affinity deck. We've got Clockwork, Gingerbrute. These are artifacts. You have Tomb Raider, obviously really good. Voldaren Epicure spits out an artifact. Then you have Frogmite and Mirror Enforcer and Refurbished Familiar. It could be a mono red deck other than the Refurbished Familiar. And then the sideboard, they have a couple of Duress and Extract the Confession and Nile Spellbomb. I sort of wonder if this should just be a mono red deck, but Refurbished Familiar is very, very strong. So maybe that doesn't matter. They have a Singleton Experimental Synthesizer here. Yeah, they got it done. Very cool. Moving up, we have 3 more decks. What is the spiciest? So here we have Sultai Fairies from Lorien. This person actually, I think, is pretty much copying the Brivinex deck. The Brivinex has kind of pioneered this Sultai Dimir Fairies, in which that they're playing the Masked Vandal on the main deck and some Genersense. So they can get their green and then pick up and replay the Masked Vandal to really, really hose people that are playing bridges. It's been pretty strong in what I've seen. They also have the ability to gain life with Weatherstorm and Vitu-Ghazi Spectre. Second place, most spicy deck, we have Blue Green Terror. I haven't seen this. Well, I've seen this a couple of times. They've got 8 terrors with Serpent Serpent and Tolarian Terror, Murmuring Mystic, and then they just have a ton of mill spells. Brainstorm and Ponder as cantrips. They have Force Spike and Counterspell and Loose Focus as well. And then they have 4 Malevolent Rumble, 4 Grapple with the Past, some Deep Analysis, which is great value if you mill it. Then they have a couple of fight spells with Monstrous Emergence. It says, choose a creature card you control or reveal a creature from your hand. Deals damage equal to the power of the creature you choose, or the card revealed to target creature. It's a sorcery. Then Bite Down and Crime, also a sorcery, but you can collect evidence 6, and it costs 2 less to cast if evidence was collected. So it's also a 2-mana spell. And then it gives a creature +2/+0, and it has it bite another creature in the same way. So this looks actually better than Monstrous Emergence, but it looks like they both have their own place, which is probably why they split it. They have islands and then 7 dual lands. Interesting. Sideboard has Declaimer, Vitu-Ghazi, Weather the Storm. Pretty cool. And then obviously we're going on to the top spice of the week of Slivers. So Venancio. This player actually used to play a lot of Boros. Let's see what they've been up to. All over the place. They haven't had any trophies for a while. Looks like their last trophy was also Slivers, which hopefully I covered. But this one is a 4-color Slivers deck with blue for Winged Sliver, giving Slivers flying. Red for Striking Sliver for first strike. Heart Sliver for haste. And Hunter Sliver for provoke. And then white has the Plated Sliver, Sidewinded Sliver. They are playing 4 of the Virulent Sliver for Poisonous 1. Slivers is a fan favorite, of course. We've got Holdout, Settlement to splash, and Abundant Growth. Then 2 Winding Way, 2 Lead the Stampede. Interesting. They have... I wonder if they also... Yes, they have 4 of Gemhide Sliver, which is one of the main ways you can actually cast all your spells in this deck. So that covers my decks of the week, some of the spiciness and what people are trying. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if I missed anything. And hopefully I will see you in the next video.